Tompkins annual meeting. Excellent. So we've begun a recording. Thank you all so much for joining us for the CCE Tompkins annual meeting. I know we'll have some folks joining us as we go through the intro, but we want to go ahead and get started. My name is Sarah Barden. I'm the co-president of the CCE Tompkins County Board of Directors, and my other co-president, Tisa Fontaine-Hill, is also here. Tisa, if you could wave. Excellent. And we're going to be emceeing and moving us through the program today. The other two people that I want to introduce right off the bat are Amina Omari. She's our HR lead, and she's helping manage the presentation this morning and will be leading us through some polling later on. And then Sharon Anderson, our interim executive director. So a few housekeeping things before we jump right into it. In the past, when we used to do this in person, we would do this annual meeting over breakfast. So we invite you to bring your own breakfast to this meeting. If you need to eat as we're going through this presentation, please do. You're in good company. I have my bagel right here. Today, we are going to do some board, Sharon will give a sort of state of the association presentation. We will do a little bit of board business and have an election. And then the bulk of our presentation program today is going to be a strategic planning activity. We're really proud of our strategic plan, and we want to make sure that everyone has a chance to engage with it. So when we get to that activity, there will be an opportunity for breakout rooms. And so when we do go into breakout rooms, we encourage everyone to join us with their cameras on. So at some point, if you're able to do that, once we get to that section, we'd love to see all of your faces. But since we'll have a slide deck up for much of this, don't feel obligated to have it for the whole time, especially if you don't feel comfortable eating on camera. There was one other housekeeping thing I wanted to share. It will come to me. But I will think about that. And before we go any further, I'd like to begin this meeting with a land acknowledgement. CCE Tompkins is located on the traditional homelands of the Gayakono. The Gayakono are members of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, an alliance of 6 sovereign nations with a historic and contemporary presence on this land. The Confederacy precedes the establishment of Cooperative Extension, Cornell University, New York State, and the United States of America. We acknowledge the painful history of the Gayakono dispossession and honor the ongoing connection of Gayakono people, past and present, to these lands and waters. All right. So we're going to move in to the next item on the program. Amina has put it in the comments, so you can go there to reference if you would like. And I'd like to introduce Sharon Anderson, our interim executive director, for a review of the year.
Great, thank you, Sarah. And you've already heard of a couple of changes at the leadership level of the association. I'm there on an interim basis. We plan in the new year to start the search for the new executive director. Amina's come on as our HR manager since our last annual meeting. And Dawn Montaigne is the new environmental issue leader. So for those of you that may recognize me, that's the position I previously held and have been at these annual meetings in that capacity. So delighted to have the team that we have at Extension. Also grateful for the continued support of the Tompkins County Legislature. That gives us an ongoing annual contribution. In addition to that, staff work hard to bring in funds through state, federal, and private grants. And the programs that I'm going to highlight in just a moment use a combination of those fundings, the county dollars and also grant funding that we procure. And that helps not only enrich our programs and bring more programs out to our community, but it's also bringing outside dollars into Tompkins County. We're in the second year of adapting to COVID, and we have been able to take our successful programs and deliver them in new ways, and that includes Zoom. But we realize too that Zoom is limiting. Not everyone has a reliable computer and good internet access. So we're conscious of that, and we look for other ways to adapt our programs as well to make sure we don't leave people out. There has been a benefit of doing more virtual programming, which is we've been able to reach new people and often more people. As an example, the energy and climate team reached City of Ithaca employees through webinars about what it will take to achieve the Green New Deal. Webinars like, what is carbon neutrality and what does equity mean within the context of the New Deal? Through webinars, we were able to reach highway departments, city attorneys, health departments, HR, and facilities people. So again, people that could be difficult to get out to an in-person programming. For years, we've had a seed cabinet where we get donations from companies of their seeds, and we let people come and pick them up from our seed cabinet. And this year, to try to have the same access to those seeds with the help of the master gardeners, they were packaged, and along with plant starts and information on how to grow the plants, they were set out in stations in our parking lot. And the seeds were chosen to meet cultural needs and also for ease of growing. Because we know with COVID, there's been a real boom in new gardeners, especially vegetables. Permanent Pursuits is one of our programs that delivers youth development in an outdoor setting, whether it's COVID or not. So they barely skipped a beat as they adjusted their programming to do masking, do social distancing, but to be outside. And this year was one of their most successful summer camps ever. And we know that for families and youth, it was really important to have that social contact where they haven't got in schools, to have that contact with other adults, and for families to have a place that was a productive and enjoyable place for their kids to go. The killing of George Floyd brought anti-racism to the forefront and heightened our awareness of the need to have research-based education and opportunities for people to dialogue in a constructive way about these issues of social justice and oppression. The Family and Community Development staff worked with Cornell faculty and students there to pilot a program where parents and youth could talk about oppression and social justice and also learn ways to create a more socially just world. Urban 4-H was there for families and affordable housing complexes where the youth got safe, free after school and summer programs. The 4-H urban staff do an enrichment for low and minority students to help them succeed in school, stay in school, and achieve their highest levels, their highest potential. Typically, they focus on reading and science. In addition to doing that, they really wanted to give people a safe place to talk about racism and COVID-19. And so they created additional parts of their curriculum to have the youth be able to talk about their anxiety, their grief, their fear, and their sadness. Our nutrition program responded after learning that 53% of eligible individuals in Tompkins County are enrolled in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP for short, and more colloquially known as food stamps, but with nearly half the people who are eligible not enrolling, and also realizing that an even lower number of eligible families, women and children could enroll in WIC, they thought, okay, let's understand this. So they partnered with a number of organizations working directly with the clientele and with Cornell Masters of Public Health students to gather information on barriers. And then as a result of that, they launched an outreach program to help overcome those barriers. SNAP has been shown to help lift people out of poverty, boost local economies, improve health outcomes, and also decrease healthcare spending. So it's really critical that people that are eligible for those services actually know how to access them, and more importantly, are comfortable and able to access them. Just like we have food deserts, there are transportation deserts as well. And for anyone in a rural area where we don't have great bus service and they don't have a reliable car, that can be challenging. Way to Go, as part of a coalition, helped launch TConnect, which is an app for scheduling weekend TCAT bus service that picks up individuals near their homes and connects them to the larger bus service. The service is currently being offered in Lansing and Dryden. The Ultimate Reentry Opportunity, or URO for short, works collaboratively with formerly incarcerated men and women to help them have the resources they need to successfully rejoin or re-enter into the community. People in Tompkins County or people coming back to Tompkins County may face challenges because of changes in technology, lack of affordable housing and transportation here. And after being incarcerated, they may need help rebuilding their social network and also their work skills. So URO has partnered with OAR and Ithaca Housing to secure housing for several individuals who are in the reentry process. And they've also been part of a food drive to help make sure that individuals and families have sufficient food through this time. In general, several other departments with our food system staff have also been working with issues around food. During COVID, unfortunately, there were people who never expected to have a shortage of food. And so we've been helping make sure there's been a connection from farms to get perhaps surplus food to the people that need it and help people that have never accessed services be able to do that. Another area that we're expanding into is called payment for ecosystem services. And this is providing incentives to farmers for implementing farm management practices that protect our water, sequester carbon, and facilitate the pollination of crops and other plants. So examples of what we're looking to have farmers be paid more for is cover cropping, no-till or reduced tillage, and also adoption of agroforestry, among others. Any fruit lovers will be glad to hear that we're part of an effort to bring a nut processing facility to the region to help out with the whole range of production with agriculture. So those are just a few of the items that staff have been working on over the past year. There's many more. Look forward to our annual report that tends to come out around March to read more about our programs and hear more in depth about some of these. You heard me mention in several of the examples our relationship to campus. So that relationship is there even when I didn't specifically call it out. We have a two-way relationship with campus. One is they have research and they have materials they develop that we then bring out to the community. We work with them in a collaborative way to develop and pilot some of those materials, but we also take the needs of the community up to campus. So often we can be the conduit of what are the needs of the community? What's the reality of people here? What are the issues we are seeing and the needs that we see? And we bring that real lived experience up to the people that are doing research and developing materials. So I think they're both very important roles for us. And being part of Cooperative Extension, we of course, not just Tompkins County, but part of the whole New York State system and part of a larger national system as well. So we do sometimes also draw on materials from other areas as well. And we appreciate all of the resources that we have access to it. So thank you for letting me share just a few snippets of our programming, and I will turn it back to Sarah.
Thank you, Sharon, so much. It's really wonderful to hear the breadth of what we're doing at CCE Tompkins. And I know that the work is so expansive that it can be hard to choose just a few things. And so it's always really nice to ensure that we're all recognized for the work that we're all putting in and the exciting new opportunities that are coming along. Okay, so we are going to move into a portion of the program to recognize those who have served and those who are going to be serving, and this will also be our election portion. So Amina, if you could pull up the slides, excellent. Okay. So the first thing we'd like to do is acknowledge everyone who has served in a volunteer role over this past year. You see before you the list of board of directors for 2021, as well as our program committee members. For anyone who's not familiar with our structure, our program committee members work with the issue leads for their particular focus area, and they provide support, advice, strategic guidance on programmatic work and those focus areas. Then our board of directors operates on a governance level. So we have fiduciary to responsibility, responsibility for the facilities, and sort of overall strategic direction. And so program committees do appoint into the board a representative. So if you look at those program committee lists, anybody with an asterisk is that program committee rep to the board of directors. And then anyone who is not listed twice on the on this slide, that means that they are an at-large director or they are appointed through their association. So for example, Shauna Black and Amanda Champion are our representatives from the Tompkins County Legislature, and then Paul O'Connor is our representative from Extension Administration. So I want to thank all of the people named on this slide for their incredible service over the past year. I know as a board member, everyone has been very committed and thinking very intentionally and thoughtfully about the association, and I'm so grateful to work beside them, and I'm so grateful for their commitment and their interest. And then as a program committee member as well, these are people who are very passionate about those program areas, and I really appreciate all of you for your participation and your service. Next slide. We'd like to recognize two of our volunteers from that slide who will be moving on from their service. Randy Quackenbush is here today. She is our secretary on the board. She has served for 6 years and has helped lead the board through some really important conversations around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and has really assisted us with our operations at meetings as the secretary in the past year. We couldn't have done it without her, and we really appreciate her service. And then also Zach Sims, as a member of the Family and Community Development Program Committee. We really appreciate his participation in that role as well. Thank you so much. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to hand this to Amina in just 2 seconds, but I want to intro this section. We are going to be doing an election of our board members, and the election is open to all members of the association. Members of the association include staff, volunteers, both on boards and committees, but also with any programs, program participants, and community members at large. So basically, anyone in Tompkins County is a member of the association. And so anyone present here today, if you're a resident of Tompkins County, is eligible to vote. So I'm going to pass it to Amina real quick to explain the tech that we're going to use.
All right, so we're using a platform called Poll Everywhere. I think some of you have used it before, but you can join by web or by text on your phone. If you're joining by web, you may need to open a browser window and just go to this address. I've also pasted it in the chat, or you can just use your cell phone to vote by text. And I've got a sample question set up there, which you can see if you are logging in. So we'll give it just a second for folks to log in and sort of interact with the sample question. Which is, in what ways have you been involved with CCE Tompkins? So we'll just wait for some answers to start rolling in here. Yeah, so folks are answering and we'll be able to see those answers live. So just give it a moment. We've got some staff here today, board members, volunteers, advisory board members, a lot of community members who've supported us through the years here. Diversity and inclusion. I'm just going to give it 1 more minute here, make sure that everybody's able to access that tool, the funder, supporting our work. Program participant involved in what we do here. That's great. I'm glad we have a great array of folks who have been involved with us in different ways. Keeper of files and fixer of things, whoever you are, thank you for your work. All right. So we're getting some answers here. It looks like people are finding the platform. If you're having any trouble with it, feel free to chat me, but we're going to move on to the election question. All right, so I'm going to close this question out and show you the next slide. There we go. Let's show you the ballot. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
We have a ballot, and I guess Sarah, can you just perhaps introduce us to the ballot?
Yeah, I don't see it on the screen yet. I want to make sure that everybody has it to reference. Yeah, so as Amina is pulling it up, we are going to be looking at a ballot for new board members and for all of our program committee members. Per our constitution, Board members get elected for a term of service of 3 years, and then they have the option to serve a second term of 3 years for a total of 6 years of service on the board before needing to take a break. So all of the board directors that we'll be electing today, you will be electing into a 3-year term of service. For our program committees, our constitution stipulates that we must elect them for 1-year terms of service, and they can be re-elected 5 times for up to 6 years of service on the program committees. So what you'll see is a lot of the same names in the program committees that you saw on the previous slide of our current, or of our past year of service. And that's just because we have to re-elect our program committee participants every single year. And then you're going to see 4 names under the board of directors at-large members category. And that is because these members only get elected once every 3 years. So take a minute to review. A lot of these names are going to be similar to what you just saw. Again, if there is an asterisk next to someone's name, it means that they are both going to serve on that program committee, and they will be the appointed representative from that program committee to the board. And then if you have the program open that was at the top of the chat, you'll be able to reference this ballot again when we move to the voting slide, if you want to see those names more on the voting slide.
And the vote is already open. Votes are coming in. And I'm just going to give it a moment here. Mm. 34 responses so far, 37, votes still rolling in. I'm not seeing that anybody's having issues accessing the polling tool, but feel free to chat me in the chat if you are. All right, let's leave this open for just a moment longer. There's still a couple responses coming in.
For those of you who are not Tompkins County residents, we really do appreciate you being here to see the work that's being done in this county and your support. I know that oftentimes we have staff who are not Tompkins County residents and even volunteers, and we really appreciate everything that you contribute to the association.
Right, the pace of responses have slowed. I'll just give it a few more seconds here if you want to get your response in. All right, and I'm closing the poll. All right, back to you, Sarah.
Fantastic. Thank you everyone for voting. I am extremely excited to welcome on to the board our 4 new directors, Alex Hall, Gunnar Madison, Elena Lazareva, and Gail Patrice Lockhart Anthony. And I really appreciate all of the continued service of the program committee members from last year and the new program committee members who are joining us this year. Thank you everyone for coming into 2022 with us. We're excited to work together. And with that, I'm going to now pass it to Tiza Fontaine-Hill, my co-president, and she will introduce our strategic planning activity today.
Good morning, everyone. Hi. I just want to start by just giving a little bit of a context. I am in an odd location, and so I apologize if my internet is a little bit funky or if the sound is difficult. And I invite Amina to let me know if there's a particular problem so that I can make an adjustment. I'm in a place that I didn't have a lot of control over. But I am very excited to be with all of you all today and to be responsible for sharing the work of many people, which is our new strategic plan. Amina, do you mind? Let's see. Okay, so the strategic plan, I'm going to go through a few things today. I'm going to introduce it, how it's developed, its mission, vision, and values, our mission, vision, and values, and then the goals and objectives from the strategic plan itself. And then we're going to spend a little bit of time in breakout groups so that you all have a chance to discuss implications for the next 5 years, come back and do a polling activity, and then talk a little bit more about what's next. So as Sarah said, we are so pleased to announce the launch of our new strategic plan. This plan is a 5-year plan from 2022 to 2026. And you can find it on our website under strategic plan. The last 2 years have been challenging for CCE Tompkins and for the world as a whole. And we took the strategic planning process as an opportunity to identify our strengths as well as the areas that we can grow in the future. We ended up with 3 major goals. 2 of them are internal facing and 1 of them is external facing. But before we get there, I'd like to briefly walk you through the process of how we got there. So this is how the plan was developed. We worked closely with a consulting firm, Illum Projects, and I believe the people we worked with are here in the audience today, so you could wave and acknowledge yourselves. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for all your work in guiding this process. This pyramid shows the process we worked through to arrive at our plan. So as you can see, we looked at why we exist, what we do, what we want to be, what we believe in, what we must achieve to get there, specific outcomes, planned actions to achieve those objectives, and indications of success. So right now we've really worked through all the way to planned actions, and that's where we're going to be asking for some of your help and thoughts, as well as indications of success. Our mission, as a reminder, is we put knowledge to work in pursuit of economic vitality, ecological sustainability, and social well-being. We bring local experience and research-based solutions together, helping families and our community to thrive in our rapidly changing world. Our vision is individuals, families, and communities thrive and reach their potential in Tompkins County. And you all are all part of making that work across our county and our communities within our county. Our guiding principles shape the way we work with the community through our program. And these guiding principles are participatory learning, action and reflection, collaborative community building, civic participation and leadership development, utilization of community assets, and research relevant to communities. We identified 5 themes that cut across our programs, and for those of you all who joined us for our annual meeting last year, these will be familiar to you because you helped to provide input and shape these. And they are climate change, economic justice, organizational development, racial equity, and social determinants of health. And we gathered feedback on these themes from our community through ways like the annual meeting, from our staff through lots of internal conversations, through our partners through one-on-one conversations and interviews, through the board, and then we workshop these at the annual meeting, as I've mentioned. The information we gathered from all of these different sections helped to distill these themes into 3 goals. And I'm going to invite some of the people who were involved in these to read each of these goals. So Anne, do you mind reading goal 1?
No, not at all. And I was on the committee and had a lot of fun working on this and really trying to shape it into something useful that we can use for the next 4 years to really see where we're going and then determine if we've gotten to where we want to be. So goal 1, transform into a more equitable, anti-racist, diverse, and inclusive organization.
Great, thank you, Anne. And underneath goal 1, we identified some specific objectives, and some of these included creating an equitable diversity and inclusion scorecard for us to be helping to identify our progress internally, building a team for ED&I work, hiring and retention of an ED&I, hiring and retention with ED&I in mind, so keeping that as a central focus when we're seeking to include new staff in our group, and incorporating ED&I goals into all programs. So goal 2, Tracy, would you mind reading that out loud for us?
Okay, goal 2 is to strengthen internal structures to become a more equitable, effective, transparent, and supportive organization.
Wonderful, thank you. And under goal 2, some of the objectives include becoming a Tompkins County living wage employer, improving our facilities, and ensuring our internal practice and staffing support our goals. And finally, goal 3. Randy, would you mind reading that one?
Sure. Engage and educate to support systemic changes that improve the conditions in which people grow, learn, live, work, and age in Tompkins County.
Thank you. And the objectives underneath goal 3 are to educate to support and improve policies and practices to increase climate resilience and mitigate climate change, to support resilient, equitable, and sustainable food systems, to foster physical, emotional, and mental well-being through programs for people across the age spectrum, to provide education connection to resources and opportunities so that our community can pursue economic vitality and economic justice, to strengthen systems that improve health outcomes across communities. And as you can tell, this goal 3 is really the one that is most focused outwardly, whereas goals 1 and 2 are the ones that are much more internally focused for our association. And so we're going to invite you all to now join us in some breakout groups to discuss and provide insight into how we're going to know what success looks like. So focusing on that range of objectives in goal 3, how will we know if we've achieved success in our community? How will we know if we've achieved success across the county? And so Amina is going to send us into groups, and I'll allow her to describe that. But thank you so much for listening to this and engaging. And we really look forward to seeing where we develop over the next 5 years. And that is really dependent on the work that we're doing in collaboration with all of you, our internal and external partners across the county. So Amina, I'll turn it over to you to send us into breakout groups.
Sounds good. So I'm going to be sending us all into breakout groups of 3 to 4 people. We invite you to talk about this goal 3, right? The goal that's focused on our external programming, and help us to narrow in on what success looks like to you as a staff member, as a board member, as a program participant, as a funder, as a community partner. There's no need to take detailed notes, but after the activity, we're going to come back and we're going to do another polling activity where you can put in the ideas and share the ideas and the insights that you came up with in your breakout rooms. We will have about 20 minutes because we are a little ahead of schedule, so we're doing a lot of time here. And yeah, we invite you to introduce yourself, get into it, and really your insights on what that success looks like will be really helpful to us as we move from setting goals into taking actions. So I'm going to go ahead and divide you randomly into groups, and please, if you're unable to access the groups or have any technical problems, feel free to address me in chat. And I'll also paste the instructions for this into the chat. So I'm opening the rooms now. To meet somebody that you didn't know, and to talk a little bit about what success would look like for a strategic plan. We're going to go from here straight into an activity to kind of capture some of what you guys discussed, so that we can use that while moving forward with our plan. So let me open up another activity, a polling activity. So this is, you'll be able to join it the same way that you joined the last one. I'm going to paste that into the chat. And I'm going to put that up on screen. So there's just an open-ended question here. Any insights that you and your group generated? Any things that you'd like us to carry forward? Ideas for us? It's really a wide open question. What does success on that goal 3 look like? And we'll kind of let that stay open for a minute and let the results start rolling in. Good suggestions so far. Interesting mix, different kind of levels, some of them about the broad picture measuring, and some of them about specific programs like Heat Smart. Authentic youth voice and participation, civic engagement. So some very broad goals about what that looks like for our community. Reducing barriers. I like this too. We're getting some things that will help us measure whether or not we've succeeded, which is important so we can keep our eye on the prize. Knowledge experience. Access has come up a couple times. And the idea of measuring, being able to measure this, that is going to be part of our action planning. Focus on rural areas, covering our whole county, not just part of it. Meaningful impacts, actions, just taking action. And that's been a really important thing to us as we've been making a strategic plan. This is not something that's going to sit on a shelf, right? We're committed to following through in a meaningful way to achieve our goals. Integration of county programs, reducing carbon footprint, very important. Increasing engagement, that has come up a couple times here. Number of electric car charging stations. I like the mix here of the specific and the general. Leadership capacity. Transparency, and transparency has been a theme of a lot of different goals of our plan for sure. Not sure what that one is, but I'm sure someone will type that in. Broadband. More use of Arnott Forest. Yep, Arnott Forest is one of our facilities, and it is it's a great facility. It's a great suggestion. When we educate, is it 2 ways? How do we employ feedback systems? Yep, and that's a really important part of our relationship with campus and our relationship with our community. Removing barriers, again, this is coming up. Access, this is coming up repeatedly. Internet and cell improvement to rural areas. Cross-area programming, breaking out of silos. Measuring how our programs create ripple effects in the community. Yeah, annual reports absolutely contain lots of data that can be reviewed year to year. We have some great annual reports on our website if you haven't seen them. Integration of lessons learned, green workforce. Yeah, we've got some great ideas here. Grassroots voices. Yeah, I'm going to keep this open for a little while. We've still got results rolling in here. This is great. Thank you all for taking the time to generate this for us. This is really going to help us as we move forward to that next step. Partnering with existing local agencies and groups. Yep, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Community cafes, which is a great tool offered by our family and community development team. It's a great way to find out what our community wants. internal collaboration, sharing resources, more community connections. Yeah, it's interesting too. I'm seeing here a mix of perspectives from staff, from board members, from community partners, from participants. Number of community garden plots, increased food security. Yeah. Yep. These are great. An app to interact with CCETC. Yeah. I'm gonna leave this open for a while because there's just lots of great stuff. Isa, did you wanna chime in on any of this or ask for anything in particular?
I too am really impressed by sort of the range of different directions that are coming in, from the very sort of specific to a broader approach. And it seems to me, if you think back to that pyramid slide that we looked at, you know, we just had a conversation about what success would look like, and we presented all of the information above, and then there's this gap, right, between the objectives. So we looked at vision, mission, values, the goals and themes that were created, the objectives around each of those goals, and then the linkage piece between those objectives and this, what success looks like, will really come from the next step of action planning. And so each of these suggestions that are coming in, I think, will really help to guide those conversations that are going to be happening internally and externally with partners. And I really like the range of specifics and general approaches. Really helpful. Thank you for your contributions and for the conversation.
Yeah, these are still coming in fast. So we've still, you know, got water going over this dam. So keep them coming. Clean water.
And I really like this voices raised on critical issues. One of the things I really like from here is really pinpointing the idea that cooperative extension, Tompkins County can be a vehicle for ensuring that broader engagement occurs across the community and that more people are heard from. And so making sure that that's a real focus of the work that's done, that's great.
I've seen funding pop up here a couple of different times. And I just want to let you know that in that goal too, there is actually a specific objective about making sure that our funding is mission aligned and broad enough to support our goals. Connection to other counties, yep, connection to other agencies. Youth, sincerely equitable partners in decision making, very important. Lots of great ideas here. We have 89 responses so far. Just a ton of good stuff. All right, seems like the pace is slowing just a little bit. I'll give it maybe a couple more minutes here, just maybe a minute more to gather these. Yeah, lots of places where we can strengthen our connections to other agencies, to other organizations, other counties, other CCEs, do better work in collaboration. Go ahead, Tisa.
Yeah, and I also wanted to highlight that I just saw something come in about conversations and connections, and the fact that one of the challenges always about the work that we do is that it, you know, the funding is based on specific kinds of activities and doesn't always leave the time for the important conversations that help to increase connection and productivity and impact and reach of the work that's happening. And so when we're thinking about funding, thinking about ways to support that reflective time and support some of that connecting time that isn't always tied to a particular program or a particular action, but really helps to strengthen the work overall, is one of the things that has come up several times. Okay. So as we watch these scroll back in, should we talk a little bit about what's next?
Yeah, We have yeah, we can
Okay.
talk a little bit about what's next. I have one question after we're done with this one. It does seem like it's scrolling, we're the volume is reducing, and I think I might just close this one and move on to the next question first, if that's all right with you, Tisa. All right,
That's
thank
great.
you for those responses. This is great. We have almost 100 responses at all levels of the plan and different areas of the plan. This we're going to pass along to our action planning team, which is going to be working in the beginning part of the year to kind of lay out that groundwork. Thank you. So I'm going to just do a quick poll in general. Let's move one slide forward here. All right, I'm going to have to stop sharing. But the question is just, how do you feel about our strategic plan? We've asked this question a couple times to our staff and to our board, and we just wanted to get a sense from the mix of people here, which is a broader mix of people. How are you feeling about it? How does it look to you? Any feedback that you have? That poll is open now and answers are coming in. We'll just spend a couple minutes on this before moving on to letting you know what's coming next. A lot of feedback here, and yeah, just I'll leave it open for a minute more. Hopeful seems to be the big theme here, and that was actually one of the big themes for staff and for board alone when we pulled them. So it's good to see that like this wider group, like wider base is also seeing that. See, ambitious and underfunded, that was also a theme in those other two, that this is a big plan. It's a lot to take on. Fortunately, it's a 5-year plan, not a 1-year plan or a 6-month plan. And so building in that funding plan is going to be part of it. It's going to need to be part of it. Ambitious, aspirational, timely, committed, successful. I say congratulations. Thanks. There's been a lot of people who contributed to this, worked hard on it. Yeah. Yep. So yep, that mix of hopeful, ambitious, underfunded, right? Like it's a big stuff that we've taken on here. So to follow through on it is going to be challenging. And to do that, I think we're going to be working on taking on chunks of it, piece at a time, and building in that funding piece to what we're taking on. That's a very important piece. Optimistic, comprehensive, excited, positive. Good words here. All right, give it about 10 more seconds. This is useful feedback as we go forward. Any comments, Tisa?
Well, I just saw the term people-centric pop up and start to grow larger, and I love that one. So yeah, I'm really happy to see the range of really positive, supportive, optimistic, hopeful words that are popping up here. So I think that really is a testament to the work that was done in putting this plan together so far, and also the fact that it has really served as a way for us to focus energy and be thinking about the future and projecting what our dreams are and how to help the association start to achieve those dreams for the county.
All right, 2 more seconds, and I'm going to close that poll, and we'll move on to close the meeting. Thank you all for your feedback, not just today, but throughout this process. I would guess that many of the folks here have been asked to weigh in on this plan multiple times, and every single time you've helped to make it better, and really appreciate it. All right, thank you all, and I'm going to close this poll and hand it back to Tisa.
Great, thank you all so much. So as what's mentioned previously, what is next? where do we go from here? And the next big piece of work is going to be creating action plans, really defining how we know we will have hit success and what specifics we'll engage in to meet the objectives and the goals that have been outlined. So I am sure that all of you will be involved in conversations about that in the future, and will continue to be involved in the work that we do. So thank you so much for your time and being willing to spend time with your insights and sharing your ideas with us, both in the past and today and into the future. I also wanted to thank the community partners, staff, and board who helped work to make this plan possible. As Amina mentioned, it's been a cumulative effort, a lot of energy and engagement from a wide range of people. So thank you all so much. And a reminder that the full strategic plan is available on our website. So ccetompkins.org, strategic plan, and we will update that document as action plans are added to it so that you all will be able to see those as well. So thank you again. And Sarah, back to you.
Okay, thank you everyone for participating. Your input is incredibly valuable, and we're really looking forward to seeing the fruits of this plan over the next several years. This brings us to the end of the meeting, and I'm gonna kind of leave a little space there so that any of my co-hosts can let me know if there's anything else on our docket, but I believe that we're moving to wrap this meeting. I want to thank everyone for attending, no matter your role at CCE or your connection to the organization. Your input is really valuable. Your time and your energy is part of what makes us so successful. This meeting was recorded, so if you want to go back and reference anything that's been talked about, or if you'd like to share it with anyone that you know was not able to attend, we will have it posted on the website at some point. And we're just really thankful you all joined us today. And we look forward to all of the things we might accomplish together in the new year. All right, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate you very much.